Yo, what's going on? This is Sunderland Senior coming at you with another video today. And I want to give a big shout out today to the Gaming Muse. She's really, if you don't know who the Gaming Muse is, she does a lot of videos on Silent Hill and Resident Evil. I actually got into her content doing, when she was doing the Silent Hill stuff. And the thing that sets her apart from other people who talk about Silent Hill and stuff like that is she goes like deep into like the psychological aspect and breaks everything down on like a psychological level and stuff like that. And she goes really in depth into like the Silent Hill mythos and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend her videos because a lot of her videos like completely mess with my mind and made me see Silent Hill in a completely different light. So shout out to the Gaming Muse. That being said, this is another Why the Hate video, and today I'm actually going to be talking about Resident Evil 6. I posted on Facebook a question, basically, basically asking people what it is about Resident Evil 6 that they didn't like or why they hated the game or what was the dislike. I didn't get as many responses, so this is going to be a shorter video, but I personally don't like but also don't hate Resident Evil 6. There's things about it I like and things that I don't like. I like that we finally get to see Leon and Chris in the same game. I like that, it's kind of like a Reservoir Dog thing where the story is being told from different perspectives. But on the flip side, that's the other side of this coin, that it's three stories from three different perspectives, and it's a little bit this game is a little bit over the top. I would honestly say that this is the game where Resident Evil jumped the shark. If you don't know what jumping the shark means, Google the phrase, but it's basically they went all out. They went overboard. They, like I said, Google the phrase jumping the shark. And the best way that I can describe it is jumping the shark is a phrase that was brought about from the show Happy Days. So I'm guessing towards the end of Happy Days, there was an episode where the Fonz, one of the coolest characters ever, by the way, Team Fonzie all the way, the Fonz on water skis. I've never seen the episode, but I know where the phrase comes from. He literally jumped over a shark on water skis. So that's where the phrase jumping the shark means. That's where it originates. Like I said, Google the phrase and, if you really want to find out. But I feel that this game jumped the shark with the over the top action, and Leon's scenario was a little bit more on the I would not say more on the survival. It starts off in like I think like a university, and you got corridors and stuff like that. His is more horror focused in the beginning, but then it just goes like bananas like towards the end of his campaign. So you have Leon, Chris, and Albert Wesker's son. So you have these Jake. You have these different scenarios, and at some point they all interweave into each other. They all come together at some point. But I feel that this game was just way, way over the top. They jumped the shark, and it was a lot of action. I'm glad that this happened. In a way, I'm glad that Resident Evil 6 happened so that we could get Resident Evil 7 where they took a chance with the first person and stuff like that. So I feel that in a way this game was good because it was bad. Because I'm guessing people like Capcom, people who are working on the Resident Evil franchise, I don't know. Like I'm not gonna say that this game did bad. I mean, I don't think it did that bad. But at the same time, I know this isn't. This is probably the last Resident Evil game that I would play if it was like this or nothing. So if I had the chance, I actually have Survivor, Resident Evil Survivor for the PSX. I would play that before I played this game. Now, if you don't know about Resident Evil Survivor or Gun Survivor. Google it, and it's basically a PSX first person Resident Evil from back in the day. That story to me was actually better than the stories in Resident Evil 6. I may be wrong, and you can call me out in the comments, and you can tear me to shreds in the comments, but I stand by what I said. So without giving more of my opinion, let's jump into some of the comments. And Mr. Chris McNeil, excuse me, he said, "It felt like a glorified audience test to see where the series should go next, depending on which segment is most popular." I don't know if I agree with that because to me, all segments were kind of eh, like eh. Leon's was pretty good, Chris was pretty good, and I'm actually playing through Jake's right now. That's what that's what you're seeing right now, gameplay of Jake's campaign. Like I said, in a way, I'm glad this game happened because we got Resident Evil 7. So we went from 6 to 7, and you could tell that from 6 to 7, they didn't know what else to do. Like, either this game did really, really crappy, and they took a chance with 7 with the first person, and they just took a chance with 7, or it did really well. If it did well, they would have made more like this. So I'm the only logical thing that I can think of is that this game really did that bad with the audience, with basically the fans of the franchise. That's probably the only thing that I can think of. All right. Once again, if I mispronounce your name, I apologize ahead of time. Mr. Ptolemy Caesarian, I believe. Sorry. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, buddy. RE6 had way too much going on, which is true. Which is 100% true. Like I said, Leon's campaign was just over the top. It was just, my Jesus. It was bananas. Like, it started off well enough, but then at a certain point, you're fighting people on top of trains, and it's bananas. Resident Evil 6 had way too much going on. Also, from a technical standpoint, the enemy AI was bad, and the hit detection and collision was bad. The subsystem and multiple inventories were cluttering, etc., etc. It's true. So you would find herbs throughout the game. Healing. You would either find healing items, plants. The green, red, and blue plants are a staple in the Resident Evil franchise. But what you would have to do is you would have to open up your inventory system, and it would suck if you were in the middle of like a boss battle or like fighting a bunch of enemies, because you would have to open your system, combine them, and then turn them into pills that you could take by hitting the shoulder buttons. And it's just really inconvenient, and that's probably what I hated the most. So he is right. The inventory system was kind of trash in this one. Let me see. Dave Fisher. It's a product of its time. 5 was one of Capcom's highest selling games at the time, so they just copied it. Added things such as zombies to try and appease the people who were vocal about it going back to its roots. Marketing for the game was good. Cool Chris meets up with Leon. Personally, personally enjoyed it and got a lot of fun out of it. For a game that got so much hate, it sold more than 7, so it must have done something right. Dave Fisher, you are absolutely right. It is a product of its time. 7, Resident Evil 5, 7, Resident Evil 5. It was good. I like Resident Evil 5. I like this where the story went. I like how it felt more like Resident Evil 0 with the partner, except that you couldn't zap. So you either played as Chris or Sheva, but you couldn't zap. I actually think you played as Chris, and then once you beat the game, you could play as Sheva. But Resident Evil 5 was good. I mean, I like 5. 5 was good. I like where the story went. I like that you know, the, you had a buddy system, so you had somebody watching your back. But to me, the appeal of Resident Evil has always been like a solo experience. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Veronica, 4. you're always on your own and you're always, navigating and trying to find your way and, stuff like that. So isolation and lack of limited ammo, limited healing items. That to me is what Resident Evil is all about. When I first played Resident Evil games, I played part 2 because I bought a PlayStation way back in the day. I bought a PlayStation and a friend of mine, he let me borrow his copy of Resident Evil 2. And that for me that's where it all started. Resident Evil 2. So when I asked him if he had one and if I could borrow it, he was hesitant because yeah, he said, "Yeah, but this one is harder than the second one." So I was like, "Oh crap." So to me it was always about isolation and just working, you bump into people across the campaign mode, the campaigns in all the games. You come across people, but for the most part, it's just you running around trying to find your way, trying to unlock doors, and just uncovering the conspiracy of the Umbrella Corporation. So five, four was kind of, I wouldn't say lost interest, but four is kind of where they started going more into the action spectrum of Resident Evil. Four was good. I like four. I was highly critical of it, but then, I liked five. I bought five. I bought it like a bunch of times for the Xbox and the PlayStation. So I'm I'm not saying I hated it. It's just, to me, Resident Evil was always about isolation. I could be wrong, and there's people out there who may disagree with me. There may be people who started playing Resident Evil. The first Resident Evil that they played was maybe four or five, and to them, that's what they recognize. That's how they see Resident Evil as like always having a partner, stuff like that. But for us old school Resident Evil fans, us who grew up on the PlayStation Resident Evil, to us, it was all about the isolation, limited ammo, and limited health. I ramble way too much. Let's go to our next comment by Tyson Colbeck. I like RE6. I think most people don't like it because RE5 was so popular, so it didn't go well when they changed it up. The whole four different campaigns thing, I like the four different campaign things. I like Mercenaries on 5 more for sure though. So I totally forgot that Ada, you could play as Ada in the game. She has her own little separate campaign. So it's actually 5. So it's Leon, Chris, Jake, and then Ada. So it's 4 campaigns. And I like Mercenaries. I actually bought Mercenaries for the 3DS when I had a 3DS. I'm trying to get a 3DS. So if anybody can donate a 3DS to the cause, more power to you, please. But yeah, he's right. I mean, 4 different campaigns is kind of a bit much to me. And it just, I don't, how can I put it? It felt like the payoff was kind of weak, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't like 6, but I don't hate it either. I'm just kind of in between. It's something that I would just pick up and play to play, but it's not something that I would invest invest myself. I wouldn't invest myself into it emotionally. I actually had more of an emotional connection with 5 and 4. So, like I said, I could be wrong, but you let me know in the comments. Chris McNeil, he commented, "I'm curious about what Five's appeal is. I think it only sold well because 4 was so good." Well, okay, like I said, why I personally like Resident Evil 5 was just because of where the story went. Like where the story took place in and what you're doing, and you get to play as Chris, and Jill is now working with Wesker and stuff like that. That was a big plot twist. Hope I didn't spoil the game for anyone. But 4, I like 4 because same thing, just because it was a good story. 4 was a good story, and it was a little bit cheesy because you're finding the president's daughter, and the president's daughter's been kidnapped, and you know. But I like cheesy things. I like 4, and I like 5. 6, I'm on the fence about. But to me, the appeal of 5 was just it was a it was a new it was brand new because you had a partner this time. So I don't know. Having a partner like that just kind of makes it feel like you're not in that much danger. You know what I mean? Like you have a partner, so you know you're gonna be okay no matter what. And it just kind of takes away from the survival horror aspect. Like I said, survival horror is always, to me, what Resident Evil is always about isolation. You have a partner who's gonna come to your rescue. It kind of it kind of loses the horror aspect, the survival horror aspect, because you have a partner who's gonna heal you, so you're not really in that much danger. Worst thing that could happen is, your partner doesn't get to you in time, but then you got to start over. In Resident Evil, in the first Resident Evils, you started over from where you saved. So if you saved, like let's say at the beginning, you're at the halfway point. Okay, Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation, on the PSX. You save at the beginning because you have to do something or whatever. Then you come back and you invest time into it and you're halfway. Now you've gone through the underground lab and everything, and now you're back in the estate, and now the hunters are in the game. They can kill you with like one hit. So if you saved at the very beginning and you're at the halfway point, and now the hunters are in the mix and they kill you, then that was the horror aspect of it. Like now you're screwed. But with 5 and 6, you had a partner who, it kind of lost its pizzazz. It kind of lost its appeal to me. But like I said, that's just me. Yimi Abba commented, "It was so goofy and too much action for no reason. After 4, which was the darker, and 5, which was the semi-dark, 6 was the culmination of childish." Was the culmination of childish? Guessing him at a childish culmination? I don't know. 4 was pretty dark, but it was also cheesy because of the whole, you got to save the president's daughter thing. 5 was more like action and set pieces. Um, but I can agree that 6 was goofy. Like I said, they jumped the shark, and to me, some of the action was just over the top, and that's just my personal opinion. Mitchell A. Quandam, he replied, or his comment is, "The story is bloated. 4 scenarios is too many. The scenarios cross over so much that you have to replay large segments of the game 2 to 3 times." And you know what? Now that he mentions that, I never thought about that because I played Leon and Chris. I'm playing Jake right now, and that's true. Like at some point, you're replaying like the segment, but from somebody else's. You're replaying the same segment, but from somebody else's perspective. So I didn't really think about that point until Mitchell just kind of brought it up in the comments. He's right, and I don't know. That's kind of weird because I never really thought of it that way. Let's move on. You play large segments again 2 to 3 times, and the worst part, it just isn't that fun to play. Uh, yeah. When you have to replay something 2 to 3 times, I can agree with that. The game doesn't control very well. The menus and health crafting are so terrible that neither feature come back, and there are way too many QTEs, quick time events. Credit to Capcom for adding an option to turn them off. I think they also fixed some camera and control issues with updates. Yeah, a lot of quick time. There's a quick time event for escaping from, like, when an enemy grabs you from behind, when a monster grabs you and stuff like that. So it's way too much, and I can understand that. Let me see what else. The gameplay is repetitive and reminds me of Gears of War, especially in Chris's campaign. Every room is just a mini arena where you shoot monsters. What happened to exploration? And this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Simmons is also lame. Simmons is also a lame villain. He's the poor man's William Birkin. Wow. Those are bold statements, Mitchell. Those are some bold, bold statements, sir. He's the poor man's he's the poor man's William Birkin and turns into a T-Rex, which is which I thought was stupid, and I agree with that. I agree with that 110%. Like I said, that at some point it's way too over the top. Like this guy just turns into some sort of like leopard or tiger thing, and he turns back into human, and then he turns back, and then it's just it's a goddamn Tarzan movie, man. It's over the top. Yeah, dude, I agree with you 110%. You also have to fight a T-Rex Simmons in at least two scenarios, each in long multi-tiered fights, neither of which I found fun. And it was more of a chore. The Simmons boss was more of a chore than anything, and oh man. I'll end on some positive. I like how he likes to end on positives. The graphics and voice acting were terrific, which they were. They were good. They were decent graphics for the time, and the voice acting was actually pretty spot on. Uh, Graphics and voice were terrific. I had more fun watching friends play the game than playing it myself. I like the design of a lot of the common enemies, like the Javo, and I like the idea behind the Utsank. Some of the stealth and chase scenes with me are fun. I just wish it was more like Nemesis or Mr. X, where you could choose to run, hide, or fight. That's man. Well, he did end it on some positives. I mean, like I said, the game isn't bad, but it's just if you're used to old school Resident Evil, this is just way over the top. Like I said, at some point, it's a goddamn Tarzan movie. Mitchell, good call, sir. Good call. I agree with a lot of what you said, sir. 110%. Mustafa Mandarin. The thing I hate most is the amount of damn QTEs, and yeah, there's a lot. There are a lot of QTEs. Kevin Lakito on the six. Too much action, less horror. So on the six, too much action, less horror. Yeah, yes, it's a lot of action. Like I said, it's over the top. It's a goddamn Tarzan movie. Jason Roman. It's our I love RE6. It's our mostly played fun game co-op along with RE5. I guess those haters don't have any friends to play with. Damn, Jason. Damn. And I guess so because I never played it with friends. I played RE5 online with a couple of friends, and that was pretty good. I'm guessing six is one of those things where you got to get online to play and hope somebody is playing too. Hopefully, one of your friends you can trick your friends into buying it and play. All right, Aaron Van Demark. I like six, but Chris felt out of place in it. It felt like he was just there. Ada scenario was that Ada scenario wasn't that fun. It felt like like it was just thrown in. I haven't played Ada scenario, so I don't know, and I want to say that I agree with this because that was the selling point of RE6 that Leon and Chris finally meet for the first time. So I don't know. I kind of agree with him on this one. Like it kind of feels like Chris was just, and then they made his story like a dark, like a downer at the beginning. Like he lost some of his men, so it's he's in a bar just drinking himself and into a coma, and then that's when his partner comes in, and it's one of those things where Chris was more of like a redemption story than anything, but I kind of agree that Chris kind of felt out of place in this one. Like he was just shoehorned in. Like I said, I haven't played Ada scenario, so I can't comment on that. I can't vouch for that for what he said about Ada scenario. So I don't know. I'll have to see. Josh McKinney, I love RE6. Hey man, I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that. Uh, Jess Smith, the QTE were rubbish, but otherwise, I liked it. I mean, it was a lot of QTEs. When you're in a helicopter, and you're fighting Simmons, and then it's bananas, man. It's a damn Tarzan movie. But a lot of people who commented, I hear your gripes, I hear what you like and dislike, and I agree with you guys 110%. It's just for me, I'm on the fence. Like I said, I don't like Resident Evil 6, but I don't hate it either. It's the same thing with Silent Hill Homecoming. But I with Homecoming, I lean more towards the I like it more than I hate it. So it is what it is. Thank you to everybody who commented. If I mispronounced your name, I apologize. Once again, check out the Gaming Muse. She has awesome content. Um, Disagree with anything I've said, agree with anything I've said, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys what is the next game that I should do for Why the Hate? I was thinking of doing Dead Space 3 because I happen to love the Dead Space franchise. I'm also gonna do a segment called Hidden Gems, and it's just games that I personally like from the PSX, PS2, 360, PS3, stuff like that. Definitely gonna do more content regarding. I actually want to do a video on why I love the PSP, not PS Vita, but PSP. So let me know in the comments. Like I said, this channel is by the people and for the people, so you guys get to dictate. You guys tell me what kind of content you want to see, and I'll do my best to make it happen. This video is a little late. I apologize. When you have work and family, it's hard to do, it's hard to do content when you have responsibilities like that. But thank you for watching. Agree, disagree, tell me in the comments. You guys have a great day and keep gaming.